Gucci Guilty. Two words that have lived rent-free in the fragrance world for over a decade. You've smelled it on a stranger in a lift. You've caught a waft of it across a bar and turned your head. Maybe you even owned a bottle once and quietly moved on. But here's the thing, most people who dismiss this fragrance have never actually sat with it. Never watched what it does after 2 hours on warm skin. And that dry down? That's the part nobody talks about. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, I think you'll be looking at Gucci Guilty in a completely different light. Gucci has always existed at the intersection of fashion and fantasy. Since the house was founded in Florence in 1921, it has understood one thing better than almost any other luxury brand: desire. Not just aspiration. Actual, visceral desire. And when they launched Gucci Guilty back in 2010, they weren't trying to make a polite fragrance. They were making a statement about freedom, about breaking rules, about wearing something that announces you before you walk into the room. The Guilty line has evolved over the years: Guilty Black, Guilty Absolute, various concentrations and flankers, but the original Eau de Toilette remains the one that started the conversation. It's the blueprint. And Gucci's approach to this fragrance family has always been the same: bold but wearable, provocative but polished. They walk that line with genuine skill. Right. Let's talk about what you're actually holding when this arrives. The 30 ml bottle is compact, small enough to slip into a jacket pocket or a handbag without a second thought, but it doesn't feel cheap. Not at all. The glass has real weight to it, there's a satisfying solidity when you hold it. The bottle design is geometric, almost architectural: flat sides, clean lines, a pale golden liquid visible through the glass. The cap is a smooth, weighty metal in gold tone that clicks on with a confidence that more expensive bottles sometimes fail to deliver. On a shelf or a dressing table, it reads as luxury. It doesn't scream. It doesn't need to. The Gucci branding is restrained but unmistakable. The packaging itself is clean, the box holds the bottle snugly, and the whole presentation says, you made a considered choice here. Does the bottle match the scent's character? Absolutely. It's quietly confident. Feminine without being fussy. Modern without chasing trends. Okay. First spray. This is the moment. You press that nozzle and Gucci Guilty does something immediately interesting: it doesn't ease in. It arrives. There's a bright, almost sparkling burst right at the top. Pink pepper is the first thing that hits you, or not aggressively spicy, more like a vivid, fizzing brightness that has just a tiny bite behind it. Then layered underneath, almost simultaneously, comes this soft floral lift, a hint of mandarin blossom, something clean and luminous. The projection in those first few minutes is genuinely impressive for an Eau de Toilette. It radiates. In a small room, people will notice. On the street, you'll leave a trail. It's not overbearing, but it has presence. Real presence. This is a fragrance that understands what an opening should do. It should make you curious about what comes next. And it absolutely does that. About 20 to 30 minutes in, the top notes begin to settle and the heart reveals itself. This is where Gucci Guilty gets genuinely interesting. A rich, velvety peach emerges, warm, slightly jammy but not sweet in a cloying way. It's more like the warmth of peach skin rather than peach syrup. Alongside that, there's lilac, soft, powdery, almost romantic. And underpinning it all is a geranium note that adds a subtle green, slightly earthy dimension that stops the whole thing from tipping into saccharine territory. That contrast is what saves it. The heart is feminine and warm, yes, but it has backbone. There's a moment around the 45-minute mark where everything clicks into alignment, the pepper from the top still just barely audible, the peach and lilac in full bloom, the geranium grounding it. That's the sweet spot. And that's where I'd say this fragrance is at its most compelling and its most seductive. Here's where I want you to pay attention. Because the dry down of Gucci Guilty is the part that either converts you or loses you, and it tends to do so quietly and without fanfare. After 3 to 4 hours on skin, what remains is a warm amber base, soft patchouli, not the heavy, hippie patchouli of the 70s, but a refined, modern patchouli that adds depth without weight, and a musk that is genuinely skin-like. It becomes intimate. It stops being a fragrance you're wearing and starts feeling like a second skin. There's something almost comforting about the dry down, but it retains enough character that it never goes generic. It doesn't disappear into that sea of anonymous white musks that so many fragrances dissolve into. The amber gives it a golden warmth. The patchouli gives it just enough edge. And that combination lingers beautifully. I'll say it plainly, the dry down of Gucci Guilty is better than the opening. And that's a genuinely rare thing to be able to say. Honest numbers now. On skin, you're looking at around 6 to 8 hours of solid wear. The opening projection phase, that first hour or so, is your biggest sillage window. This will fill a room during that phase. After that, it becomes more of a personal cloud, a meter radius, something that people catch when they're close to you. That second phase is actually where I think it works best socially, present enough to be noticed, intimate enough to feel personal rather than intrusive. On fabric, particularly natural fibers like cotton or wool, longevity extends significantly. I've had this on a scarf for the better part of 2 days. For an eau de toilette, that's a strong performance. Best time of day? Evening, without question. It has a warmth and a richness that comes alive under artificial light, in a warm room, against warm skin. It's not a morning commute fragrance. It's a dinner reservation fragrance. A first date fragrance. That's exactly the territory it was designed for. Let me paint you a couple of pictures. If you're the type who puts on a silk blouse and a leather jacket in the same outfit without irony, who orders the second glass of wine before finishing the first, who has a signature table at a favorite restaurant, this is your fragrance. It fits that version of yourself perfectly. If you're someone who cycles through seasonal fragrances and you want something that genuinely works from September through to March, something that has warmth for cold evenings but won't suffocate you in a heated restaurant, Gucci Guilty is exactly that. It's your autumn-winter workhorse. And if you're someone who's been wearing the same safe, clean, inoffensive fragrance for years and you're looking for a way to try something slightly more characterful without scaring yourself, this is a beautiful step in that direction. It's approachable, but it has personality. Who should not wear this? If you gravitate toward fresh aquatic fragrances, oceanic notes, the kind of clean green scents that feel like outdoor air, walk away. This is not for you, and forcing it will feel wrong on your skin chemistry and wrong in your wardrobe. If you run very warm and tend to amplify heavier base notes to the point of overload, the amber and patchouli dry down might become overwhelming on you specifically. Worth testing on skin before committing. And if you absolutely need an office-safe, HR-approved, invisible fragrance, this isn't that either. It has opinions. It takes up space. £51 for 30 millilitres. Let's do the maths. That's £1.70 per milliliter. In the world of designer fragrances, that sits in a reasonable range, not bargain territory, but not egregious either. The question, as always, is what are you actually paying for? And here, I think the answer is honest. You're paying for a well-constructed, genuinely wearable fragrance from one of the most recognized luxury houses in the world. The liquid inside that bottle is not filler. It's not just the Gucci name on a mediocre formula. The performance justifies the spend. Now, if your budget is tighter and you want something in a similar warm, floral amber territory, I'd point you towards Zara's Gourmand collection or some of the Revlon Charlie flankers, which share some DNA at a fraction of the price. They don't have the longevity or the refinement, but they scratch a similar itch. For the full experience, though, the construction, the dry down, the longevity, you really do need the real thing. You can pick it up directly from P11 at p-11.com, and at this price point for the 30 milliliters, it's an accessible way to add something genuinely quality to your collection. My score, 7.5 out of 10. It loses points because the opening, while confident, isn't quite as distinctive as some of its flankers. But the dry down earns back nearly every one of those points. It rewards patience. And fragrances that reward patience are increasingly rare. Gucci Guilty Eau de Toilette is not trying to reinvent the wheel, and it doesn't need to, because what it does with a quiet consistency that earns your trust wear after wear, season after season. The dry down alone justifies the bottle on your shelf. Now here's my question for you. If you've owned Gucci Guilty before, I genuinely want to know, did the dry down keep you coming back, or did you eventually find something that delivered that same warmth with more originality? Drop that in the comments, because I read every single one. And if honest, no-nonsense fragrance reviews are what you're after, subscribe. I post every week and I never waste your time.